Hey there, welcome to the latest live edition of the Winter Circle presented by Naira and Naira Bets, the official online betting partner of the Belmont Stakes and Saratoga Racecourse. I'm Bram Weinstein. That is Dan Torgman in a Christmas tree farm with a heat hat on. What are you doing, Dan? Where are you? What are you doing?
This is actually my new backyard. So
Oh,
yeah, well,
fancy, Dan, fancy.
and Marty knows like I'm like very superstitious, and like in our like Moroccan Jewish tradition, any living plant or anything living and growing inside a home is bad luck. So we don't have a Christmas tree, a live Christmas tree or a real Christmas tree indoors. So at least we could sort of experience it outside. These look like Christmas trees. They're
Are
not.
there, not that I know much about Moroccan Jewish tradition, but are Christmas trees part of that? Because I emphasize the word Jewish when you said Christmas tree.
Well, yeah, it's a non-starter, right, to begin
Uh-huh.
with, but still, for her, she always wants the big Christmas tree. So it's a non-starter to begin with, but it's even more of an issue because of the bad luck that comes with live plants and live things growing in your home. So anyway, we're in the backyard. I'm in the backyard because today I yielded. I let her have the main office space to do her show. So she's
Uh-huh.
doing her show right now. So I'm outside. There's a plane overhead. So hopefully we just keep the connection. We'll be good. I'll consider that a win.
Feel very lucky today, mainly because I like the numerology of the date today, 10, 11, 21. So I'm feeling very like I feel like I want to play the lottery or something, or if a big stakes race was happening today, I would feel good that I'm going to be on the right side of the whole thing, especially if Letruska is part of it.
Mhm.
And let's start there from over the weekend. That horse is a monster. So check out I guess we're going to show you the stretch of Letruska, but really the whole story is it was wire to wire and it was dominant. So check out Letruska from over the
Tall
weekend.
task ahead to try to catch Letruska. Letruska leads it by 4 lengths coming to the 8th pole. Dunbar Road to second, Bonnie South in third. Final furlong of the Juddmonte Spinster. Letruska chased all the way by Dunbar Road and Bonnie South. Letruska's already past the 16th pole. Letruska by 3. Letruska and Erod Ortiz Jr. to win the Juddmonte Spinster by 2.5 lengths over Dunbar Road. Bonnie South was third. The time 1 minute 49.01 seconds.
All right, I think there's an argument here that she's best horse in training. Now, I don't know whether we'll find that out in the Classic or not, because that would be the ultimate test here in what looks like a very crowded, very competitive Classic field. And there seems to be way easier pickings for her to not end up in that field. So where are you on Letruska and where she should go from here?
Look, I mean, I would love to see her in the Classic as well, but I think we got the first indication from her trainer on Saturday that she's going to the distaff. So she's going to stay in her division, where I think you've been making the case now for months. There's a formidable foe in the division. She Dares the Devil, a horse who hasn't really gotten much recognition this year because she's been in the shadow of Letruska. But we've seen time and time again the kinds of horses that she's beating there. Bonnie South, Dunbar Road, they're a cut below. I mean, they cannot hang with her. They cannot go as fast as she goes early, and they certainly haven't been able to, even when she's been softened up. And we saw her softened up significantly in Saratoga in the Personal Ensign. They still couldn't catch her late when she took all the pressure in the world. So I don't know what's going to change for her to necessarily lose the distaff. I mean, She Dares the Devil, you could argue, the only horse who's beaten her this year, by the way, might potentially be able to get to the lead. And if she puts her in a position where Letruska has to sit off the pace, maybe she's slightly vulnerable in that situation. But it looks like they're just trying to basically ride this out, coast obviously to top filly and mare honors,
Mm-hmm.
and potentially horse of the year honors. Because if she does go out with the Breeders' Cup Classic win, and let's say we get a distaff win, and let's say we get a mild upset in the Classic, I think that puts her in position to potentially be horse of the year.
I agree. What you did not see in the replay of that was the full race, and it's worth the minute and a half to watch it because she charges out to like a 6 or 7 length lead, right out of the gate. And this is the classic, like you see the gap closing. And it was one of those, she got out too fast. It's like she's gonna run out of gas. Someone's gonna catch her. And then as soon as the gap closes, she like it's like it hits a turbo button and is up by 4 lengths again, and the gap closes again. And then as she turns for home, she does it a third time. It's like the second that she feels any pressure whatsoever, it just kicks into another gear. So she's just on another planet right now. And I'd like to see it in the Classic, but I totally get it. If you're going, why would we do that? What's the point of doing that? You know, we're in a much weaker field against, in my opinion, it will be one other horse. She Dares the Devil's got a real shot at her. Why wouldn't you go there and race there? And that's where I think the answer really is for them.
Yeah, you nailed it. Look, her speed is her weapon. Interesting story with this horse. She started her career in Mexico. Okay, she started in Mexico. Most horses who start in Mexico, where the racing is obviously a cut below, don't progress to the point where they even make it to a race in the U.S. Lo and behold, she makes it to the U.S. In the Caribbean. They have a Caribbean Cup Classic Invitational, but they've been running at Gulfstream since, I believe, 2018 or 2019. She shows up in 2019, and she wins a race out there. And they're like, oh, okay, so she fits here. They bring her back. She doesn't run as well on turf. But since then, I mean, there have been a few flops where she hasn't had things her way. But obviously, she's been able to ride this crazy wave. If you hear the trainer talk about her, Fausto Gutierrez, it's as if like this horse was God sent. I mean,
Yeah.
they obviously didn't have.
That's because she was, Dan. He's actually of typically when they say things like this, and it's just so like, come on. In this case, I agree with him. He's never going to get one like this again. She is ridiculous. Yeah.
No, she's spectacular. So look, I think it'll be interesting to see the way she JD says very religion forward show this week. By the way, he did point out in the comments they make fake trees these days. I do want to say, like, that's our compromise. We do have the fake Christmas tree that we get every year, and that we keep every year. So that's the other thing. There's cost savings there.
That's part of Moroccan lore. Have fake plants in your house.
They're acceptable. I mean, they're not necessarily like encouraged, but it's acceptable. So
nothing growing in your house. That's first I've ever heard of that. That's interesting. All right. One other race I want to profile from over the weekend, also at Keeneland, the Turf Mile. Check out the stretch call there.
They turn for home. Brown Storm is the leader. Diamond Oops, Some Like It Hot Brown is there. Ivar trying to find more, still fourth. Still 3 lengths away. Some Like It Hot Brown to the lead. Tell Your Daddy and In Love running on. Tell Your Daddy In Love. In Love coming forward. Space Traveler late run. In Love has the lead in deep stretch. In Love striding forward for Alex Ashard to win the Keeneland Turf Mile. In Love wins it.
All right, mild upset there. In Love, a winner over the weekend. Caught a break when 5 horses are coming up at the same time. The 2 right on the inside just happened to bump each other at the perfect time to give him the space there to move forward. Probably would have won anyway the way he was going there. What's your take on In Love off of that?
Yeah, he sat a perfect trip. I was watching this race. I caught very few races this weekend because I was traveling, but I caught this race. And the entire time I was watching the trip that In Love was getting, and I was like, that's not a horse I've ever heard of before or I've really thought of before. And I mean, look, the horse has been around for a little while. It ran in the Wise Dan Stakes at Churchill Downs, ran in the TBG Stakes at Kentucky Downs, but not a horse that stood out to me for any particular reason. But I was like, this horse is sitting the trip. They're all battling up front, and he's sitting right in behind them. If he could tip out and get some clear running, he's going to be just fine. And that's what he did. And to your point, there was some bumping in the stretch, which certainly helped him. But I think he was rolling by anyway, and he was going to win. Another interesting sort of the connections here, the trainer specifically, Paulo Lobo, not as well known, obviously, as a lot of other trainers. But he had a horse last year in an upset, make it to the Turf Mile last year, and Ivar, who you heard Kurt Becker call there during the race, returning in this race. But Ivar was an upset last year, went on and ran credibly in the Breeders' Cup Mile, and now he pulls the upset again for a second year in a row with In Love, who doesn't come in really with quite the resume that you would think. You had some horses in here that are graded stakes winners and so forth who stood out. And so, but in terms of like seeing, if you like seeing, the small outfit win, if you like seeing different names, at the top of the leaderboard, this is a great story because it's a guy that we haven't seen often. He's pulled off some upsets in the past. Has a very small string of horses, mostly horses bred in Brazil, who come here and generally run well enough. But to have a horse in this race 2 years in a row, two different horses, now headed back to the Breeders' Cup with this horse, pretty awesome story.
JD, I don't know why he wants me to ask you about your pick of a horse that came in last in this race, but he does. So I don't know. It feels like it's a pile on, but do you want to defend picking a horse that finished? Because I totally respect your handicapping, and it's very rare occurrence that without some kind of weird thing happening that your horse would finish last. So.
No, this is actually, it's not so much of a drag on me. I think it allows me an opportunity to grandstand a little bit, because I had Order of Australia last year in my pick 5 ticket when he won at 73 or 76 to 1, whatever it was. But on Saturday, because like I said, I was traveling, I wasn't even involved. I was not on record as even liking Order of Australia.
Oh. So this is fake news now. You're telling me it's fake news, because I was told this is the horse you picked and it finished dead last, and that sounds very rare for you.
I picked him at the Breeders' Cup when he won. I sat out this one. I did not make a pick here. I would not have picked Order of Australia to win, although I would have been shocked if he would have told me that Order of Australia would have run as poorly as he did. Seemingly no excuses. Johnny B said, the horse just didn't fire. And that's what happens. That's horse racing. And I would say going into this year's Breeders' Cup Mile again, look for an international runner who might upset the apple cart. Look for horses who, it's always a good spread leg. And this year, we do have a couple of horses in the division who are going to be standouts, but it feels like that every year there are one or two horses who are like, you know what, this horse can't be beaten, and they get beaten. The Turf Mile is a good race. The Turf Sprint is another good race to look for prices. And as we're talking about Breeders' Cup, there were so many Breeders' Cup Challenge Series races this past weekend. I'll run through.
Yeah, because we're 4 weeks out, so this is pretty much end of the run before we get to the Breeders' Cup. You want to run the gamut here with what stood out to you?
Yeah. Look, you had the juvenile fillies, Juju's Map, kind of, made her presence known, winning the Darley Alcibiades. She's an interesting horse. I'd keep an eye on Special Reserve. We already knew how good Special Reserve is. Backs it up with a win in the Stolkeen and Ogden Phoenix. That's in the sprint division. Bell's the One, another super classy horse. I feel like always runs well at Keeneland. Ran really well in the Thoroughbred Club of America. So that's, stamping her ticket to the Filly and Mare Sprint. At Belmont, Following C, back in the picture, winning the Vosburg. Also Following C is in the sprint. Rattle and Roll won the Claiborne Breeders' Futurity, but Kenny McPeak said there's a chance they're not actually going to go into the juvenile with this horse, which I don't know the exact reasoning, but obviously winning one of the key races going into the TVG Juvenile. Rattle and Roll, Blowout won the First Lady. So again, that's her ticket to the Maker's Mark, Filly and Mare Turf. There were a couple of others, including Tiz the Bomb yesterday, winning the Bourbon Stakes. Really, really strong performances as we sit here less than a month out now to the Breeders' Cup. There's only one Breeders' Cup Challenge Series race left. It's the J.P. Morgan Chase Jessamine on what is that? It's on Wednesday, I guess. So this Wednesday, the Juvenile Fillies Turf Division at Keeneland, the last win in your in race. It's crazy that we're already here, but they're about to run the last race on Wednesday. So check that out. It's always good to have a little Wednesday distraction. So I'm glad to have that on the calendar this week.
Yeah, like I said, I'm feeling lucky today. 10, 11, 21. Yeah. I'm gonna listen, whatever you got for me. I'm open to all options today with that. All right, bet your favorite tracks online with Naira Bets, available nationwide in 30 states. Naira Bets offers best-in-class HD live video and replays, online contests to compete with other Naira Bets players, exclusive promotions that give back more, and expert picks and analysis with an easy-to-use, free-to-download app. Betting horse racing online has never been easier and safer. Sign up for Naira Bets now to earn a $200 sign-up bonus with promo code ABR200. And welcome back to the Winner's Circle, presented by Naira and Naira Bets. I'm Bram Weinstein with Dan Torgman. All right, you want to do Stay Lucky here, Dan? You want to talk about what's going on there? Because staying on our theme of being lucky, Dan doesn't grow anything in his house. I like numbers. We found that out today. We got somebody who's on a streak of all streaks, right? And Stay Lucky, which is the ABR promotion that if you get to, feels like a near impossibility. Was it 20 straight wins? You end up getting a lot of money, and someone is actually threatening this right now.
That's exactly it. If you remember the app, and I'm assuming it's still running. I played it back in the day. Beat the Streak, the MLB app.
Yeah.
You just try to pick a player who would get a hit every day and just keep it going. Same concept with Stay Lucky. You go into your app platform, app store, download it, free to download, free to play, and all you got to do is every week you pick at least one race, and there's a slate of anywhere from a couple of races to 8 or 10 races, or a lot of races this past weekend. All the races I just mentioned were on there. You pick at least one race though each week, and you try to build that streak. The grand prize for a streak of 20 straight races, which may sound absurd, the grand prize is $1 million. Well, there's currently a guy who has a streak of 15 straight races. So
are you and Panis on the phone with the insurance company right now? Never thought you'd have to make that call.
It's not the two of us on the phone, but we've got people, just standing by the phone and having some real serious conversations about what this might look like, because we thought
it's one a week, right? It's one a week.
You got to pick at least one a week, but you could pick, if there are 4 or 5 races,
you could pick 5 in a day if you wanted to. Got it.
Yeah. And so, and the races, to be clear, are typically run. So the race on Wednesday will be on there. So that's a race that could be picked. But there are races usually on Saturday and Sunday mostly. They're graded stakes races that have to meet a certain criteria, number of horses running and so forth. So this guy, when he hit the 14 win level, he won an all expenses paid VIP trip to the Breeders' Cup. So he's already headed to the Breeders' Cup. He's going to be at Del Mar. So he wins that for hitting prize level 14. But wait,
he wins $1 million. I'm going to hang out with him there.
Well, I think we got to hang out with him anyway. I mean, the guy's picking straight winners. We should see if he'll split it.
Right. What's the magic, right? What do you know that no one else knows? But yeah, go on.
No, I want to hang with this guy without a doubt. And we actually have an interesting profile on him on ABR. If you go to americasbestracing.net, we did a little write-up on him after he won the Breeders' Cup trip. Well, right after he did that, another person won a second VIP trip to the Breeders' Cup. And there are currently 2 other players hot on his heels with 14 straight wins.
What?
No joke. For the first time in the history of Stay Lucky, we hadn't even had anyone reach 12 wins. And right now, we've got 2 players at 14 and 1 player at 15. So
let me ask a serious question. Like, is this person only picking like the Letruskas every week? Do you know what they're picking? Like, are they going with massive favorites when offered in certain races?
Generally, they're going to pick their spot and go with a massive. But you know what? There were a lot of people this week who had 11, 10 wins in a row, and they all picked Order of Australia. So their streaks ended. They were trying.
I knew you were going to find a way to like bring this back to try to defend your position. I know you too well. You're going to like defend the position. I already knew it. There it is. Like this is the second time now you explained why you picked this horse that finished last. Go ahead. All right.
No, it wasn't just them. A lot of people in the know, right? So you can't just blindly pick the favorite each week. You got to pick your spot. I mean, you could actually go in to the app. You download Stay Lucky. You go to the leaderboard. It's updated after the races are complete. And then you could click on, let's say, the guy at the top of the leaderboard. I could actually go into the app now and tell you who he's picked. I could tell you all 15 winners that he's had because all that is listed. For each player, you could go in and see who they have.
Yeah.
And so you might be, if you're sitting there with 14, you're rooting against this guy, right? You're just hoping he picks a loser at some point so that it clears the way, because it's only the first person to 20 that wins the $1 million. So it's kind of there's a lot of, strategy that goes into it. I'm pulling the guy up now.
This is like that movie, Let It Ride. Like this is,
you got to keep going. You got to keep going. So he picked Special Reserve on Friday. He had Echo Zulu in the Frisette last week.
That's a good pick. Yeah, that's a good pick. Yeah.
He had United. He had Corniche, Jackie's Warrior. So a lot of short price horses.
Sure.
But anyone.
I mean, if that's what you're telling me, I got to pick one a week, then I am taking, and you offer me up the Jackie's Warrior race, then that's the one I'm probably going to take. That's just the wise play of going around something like this.
But you're sort of on the clock, right? I mean, you can't just wait for a Jackie's Warrior to race every weekend.
All right, so tell me this. Tell me you guys are not going to rig this, that on race 20, you're going to give him one option, and it's going to be some $10,000 claimer at Mountaineer, okay?
Like,
You're not going to do that, right?
30-horse, like, hurdle race in Ireland.
Yeah. We've decided you have to pick the 5th on a Tuesday at Prairie Meadows, where it's a 14-horse field for $6,000. Good luck.
Yeah, exactly. You got to pick the try in that race.
Yeah, don't rig it. This guy's made it this far. Give him a fair shot. That's what I'm hoping.
And I will say, like, even though he's there and he's close, the season is not over. You could jump in at any point. If you haven't downloaded the Stay Lucky app, you go in, download Stay Lucky, start playing this weekend. You don't have to reach level, 14 straight wins, like I said, for the VIP trip to the Breeders' Cup, or 20 wins per million. At each level, starting at like 5 wins, 7 wins, 9 wins, you win prizes. I mean, you win pretty cool stuff. You win subscriptions, you win shirts, you win hats, you win whatever. So get on there, start playing, win free stuff, have some fun, and who knows?
All right, cool. I want to talk about the other thing I learned about today called the Everest in just a minute. But first, watch this. Or don't watch it. Don't watch it. Don't yell at me. I asked for the commercial. Don't watch it. Yeah.
I could play it. I've got it. So let me play it. I think JD. I think JD dropped out. Let me play it.
No sport in the world brings the wins home like racing. It's one-of-a-kind, high-speed, high-stakes action, and Naira Bets takes you there. Place your bets and watch the races live from anywhere. With Naira Bets, make easy, secure deposits and promotions every day to earn reward points or cash. Download the Naira Bets app or visit nairabets.com.
And welcome back to the Winner Circle, presented by Naira and Naira Bets and America's Best Racing. I'm Bram Weinstein with Dan Torgman. All right, so we were talking last night about, what are we going to cover today? And JD threw something in front of me. This is the second time now. Last week, he explained to me about like some kind of German Triple Crown that goes on that I had no idea existed. And apparently the breeding circles are like, I guess things are going well in Germany, that we're going to start seeing some German, horses like kind of infiltrate the Breeders' Cup and potentially, start winning races here. And now we've got the Pegasus clone Everest from Australia. So now I'm learning about, now I know that Aussie racing's big, but like now I'm learning about this week. We're very, very international here these days.
Yeah. So look, the Everest has it's been around for a couple of years, but it's the world's richest race on turf. And that's scheduled to be run this Saturday. The thing that's sort of, I think, an extension of it, which JD brought up, which I thought was interesting, they have what they're calling the Kosciuszko, which is like the fans race. And the way he described it is essentially it's like a Pegasus World Cup, where when they did it initially, there was kind of like this lottery where you sort of tried to get in and have an entry. Yeah. And then once you had an entry, once you were holding like a golden ticket, you could enter your horse. Well, they're essentially doing it there for horses that and for connections that are not exactly at the top level. It's kind of open to all, and so it sounds like it's essentially an opportunity for lower level and mid level connections to get in with horses into a race with a massive purse. So it's a really cool concept, and it kind of reminded me of
you need like the fans to vote in a horse. Is that what you're saying has to happen here?
Let's see. He says the Pegasus. It's the Pegasus clone. The Everest is the Kosciuszko is the cool one. Yeah, no. So that's exactly. So I don't know, JD. You could tell us the actual. He said it's open to the fans. Fans choose the horses to represent. That's really cool. I mean, I don't even know how that can work.
Listen, I'm a skeptic by nature. And the idea that this wouldn't get rigged up or gamed up by people who get control of the fan slots, to me, sounds absolutely impossible. But I like the idea behind this. Like, let the fans pick who goes in the gate. I actually think that that's really, really, really cool. So I'm all into that. I just don't believe that'll ever be on the up and up. But all right, all right.
Well, he's saying the fans actually win the slots and then choose the horses to represent them.
Huh, that's cool.
That's wild. I mean, I guess
Stay Lucky guy is like, let's go.
But that would obviously leave the door open to the Stay Lucky guy, right? Like, no, that would leave the door open to like a fan choosing. It's $5 per ticket. So, like that's wild. So like that would leave the door open to be like, hey, like I want this random horse and connection that you would never think of being in this big race to be in this
So
big
JD says now then you negotiate with the owner and split the prize money if the horse ends up running.
This is wild. Yeah, no, absolutely.
I'm all in on this now. I am all in on this now. I'll take 100 of those lottery tickets, please. 100 of those, please.
He said it's 1.5 million Australian. So what is that in
Oh, come on. Why would I know that? I didn't even know about the Moroccan plants thing. I mean, like, come on.
It's 1.1 million US. So
okay, fine.
We just looked that up. Before we go, I want to talk a couple of quick things. First of all, tough one for you boys yesterday. You want to
Washington? Yeah. Beat ourselves, unfortunately. Go look at the box score and you'll not figure out how they lost. Like it's one of those like where double time of possession, had more turnovers, they gave up a inexcusable Hail Mary at the end of the half and then gave up a total like miscommunication, quick snap, 72-yard touchdown bomb, and they lost because of it. So that's why they lost. So that was a rough one. I mean, this is weird. Like all year long, we're like looking at, chalk up Kansas City as a loss. Washington and Kansas City play each other this week, both at 2-3. So, you can't figure anything these days. It's hard to know.
Well, you read my mind. So I want to have a baseball thing. But before we move to baseball, should the Chiefs and Chiefs fans start panicking?
Yes. But I not to toot my own horn here, and you wouldn't know this unless you would like listen to my show down here for a while, but I've called from the summer, the Chiefs are not going back to the Super Bowl. They might win their division, maybe just because Mahomes is so great and they score so many points, but I hate their defense. I think that they are really weak on that side of the ball, and I don't really see them returning to the Super Bowl unless they win every game 45-42, which is clearly not going to happen. So I love Buffalo. I think that they're by far the preeminent favorite in the AFC. I think Cleveland is really good despite the outcome there. And Herbert is awesome and is probably a front runner for MVP. And I don't think they are good enough on the defensive side of the ball to probably get there. But them winning that, now that they've won an Arrowhead, them winning that division is not that far-fetched, which means the Chiefs will be a wild card team, and I just don't think they're going to get there in the end. Like, I love Mahomes. I love Andy Reid. I think their defense, nobody wins the Super Bowl with the 32nd ranked defense, and that's what they might be this year.
Yeah. Chargers, you mentioned, trending in the right direction, 4-1. Packers have turned it around after that, bumpy start, 4-5 as well.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. That was weird. It was 5 field goals missed in a row, something like that yesterday. That was weird. That was my other little hot take. Again, you'd have to listen to my show in Washington. I don't know why you would, Dan, but if you had, I was all over the Bengals are going to be better than people think this year. That I don't know that they can win their division, but I assumed Pittsburgh would have a down year. I still don't totally buy Baltimore, having like the typical Baltimore year based on all the injuries that they have. So we'll have to see how that goes.
Right.
Cleveland, I love, but I was kind of if Cincinnati ended up in second place in that division and as a wild card, I don't think anybody should be surprised by that. They have a lot of weapons now. If Burrow stays healthy, their receiving core is sick. Like I think like they could be a surprise, like score a lot of points this year, be a surprise, slip into the playoffs as a wild card team.
Yeah, and Burrow obviously took that big hit, that double hit yesterday. So hopefully he's okay and bounces back. All right, the baseball thing. Did you happen to catch the play in the Rays-Red Sox game?
Which one? The steal home or something else you're talking about?
This was last night. They're in the 11th inning, and Kiermaier hits a ball way out to right field. Looks like it's going to be a home run, and you can't really see it at first. You see the ball going over the fence. But you watch the replay, what happened is the outfielder, the ball bounces off the top of the wall, comes back, hits the outfielder, and goes over the fence at that point. But what happened was there was a runner in front of Kiermaier who had already scored, and Kiermaier was on his way to third. So essentially, they had to now, I mean, in my mind, I'm like, look, the outfielder is the one who knocked the ball over the fence and out of play. So in my mind, I'm like, well, that's too bad. Kiermaier gets the score, the run scores. No. They made Kiermaier go back to second, and the runner who scored go back to third. Run wiped off the board. They call it a ground rule double. A bunch of people were tweeting about it, all the usuals, Jeff Passan, and they pulled out the rule. And essentially the rule says if a ball hits in play, hits off a fielder, and goes out of play, it's almost always that the runner is awarded 2 bases, unless it's shown that the outfielder did it intentionally, like literally took the ball like
Right.
But needless to say, bottom of the inning, what happens? So the Rays don't score there. Bottom of the inning, Red Sox 2-run home run walk off. Just brutal. Vicious ending to a game. I don't think the Rays. I don't think any team bounces back from that, especially in a 5-game series.
Yeah.
Again today. So just a tough break if you're a Rays fan. And again, I don't. I think the Rays are great. I think their record is probably a little overinflated. Probably makes them seem a little better than they are, especially when you have young pitching in the playoffs. Generally, this is where they're going to get the acid test, and very few rotations as young as the Rays rotation have made a deep run. So I wasn't expecting too much from them, but you still got to feel terrible for
them. Yeah, I guess. I don't know. I mean, do I feel terrible for them that they misplayed a ball so badly that they ended up?
No, that's the Red.
It's true that it's just that's true. It just went the wrong way on them. Yeah, no, you're right. I feel bad for them. I guess I feel bad for them. They're like miracle workers with how little money they spend and how good they are. So they are miracle workers, and then it kind of feels like just desserts when they get into a playoffs with a team that has a budget like the size of Guam and then just destroys people. Like it seems to make sense to me. I mean, I would go with the happiest people on earth are the White Sox and the Astros, who are going, really? Great. We don't have to play them. Awesome. Like I'm sure that they're feeling pretty good about that.
It feels like there's something in the air. I feel like the Red Sox are going to go on a run here. I mean, like that.
Oh, I feel like the Astros are going to bulldoze their way into the World Series. If that's what, if it's Boston, I think the Astros bulldoze their way into the World Series, and then let's see who they get, because obviously that Giants-Dodgers series could go either way. So we'll see. Who they get.
Yeah. I think the Astros probably close out the White Sox today. White Sox were resilient last night. And in the NL, I think the Braves are going to pull that series out against the Brewers. I really do. I think
whoever wins the Giants-Dodgers goes to the World Series. That's what I think.
That's probably fair. Yeah.
All right. That'll do it for us this week. We'll see you next week. The Winter Circle is presented by America's Day at the Races, the official live broadcast partner of Aqueduct Racetrack, Belmont Park, Saratoga Racecourse, and tracks nationwide. For Dan, I'm Bram. See you next week.
Oh, this is us too. See you next week.